Good evening and a warm welcome to my classmate Dr. Hozefa A Bhinderwala and to everyone on our webinar today. We are really honored to have our esteemed psychiatrist, school counselor, TEDx speaker and author of 2 books on speed reading conduct this webinar on sleep hygiene to be your best, a good night's rest. As an OBGYN and a mother, I can safely say that I would need all his advice to address the chronic insomnia I suffer, which is also an occupational hazard, as you can imagine. As the co-founder of Prana, leading the brigade in Bangalore, the pandemic has given us a chance to bring plasma to your doorsteps when you need it. Oftentimes, the team works late into the night to do this, and so Dr. Hozefa, your session will be a wake-up call what not to do on your list of activities. That is to help us sleep better. This week is very special for Prana as we work to get our 100th bag of plasma donated. We are now at approximately 93 today, and we are deeply grateful to our core team, Prana warriors, and our selfless donors who have made this possible. As one plasma harvest makes 2 bags, we would have helped over 180 recipients since we started. Our dream is to double this in the next month, and we look to all of you to help us get there. Prana Plasma on Wheels has also facilitated getting plasma from Bangalore to Mysore and Hubli, and we hope to expand to every city in India. Just like sleep heals our bodies overnight, plasma within a patient recovered from COVID-19 has the power to save a life. So don't hesitate, come forward and connect with us. Our donors do tell us that they have had the most comforting and supportive experience with no fear or pain. One has donated, one and maybe more than one, as I recall, has donated for the 4th time last week. Not all patients recovered from COVID-19 can donate, and here are the eligibility criteria to keep in mind. Donors need to be male between the ages of 18 to 60, over 50 kgs of weight. The first donation is encouraged at 28 days after being symptom-free, and thereafter every 15 days. At 28 days, the blood bank would do a host of screening tests to ascertain eligibility, and the actual procedure takes just 45 minutes, very much like a blood transfusion. Even though we have over lakhs of recovered patients, there's a lack of awareness and myths along with this strict criteria that makes it very difficult for donors to come forward. I therefore urge all of you to encourage plasma donation, talk amongst your friends and families who have recovered from COVID, and be a Prana ambassador for us. You must be wondering now how pillars of positivity and plasma go hand in hand. And during our initial journey with plasma donation, we realized the pressing need to provide emotional support to all our donors and recipient family members. Hence, our Prana Mental Health Initiative was born with the support of a host of doctors and senior counselors. Prana is here for you and our audience too in whatever way we can help you deal with this emotional struggle unleashed by this pandemic. Our 10 pillars of positivity hope to make a difference in your emotional well-being and help you cope better in this unreal times. Past pillars are all available on our Prana Pan India YouTube as well. So without a further ado, I hand over to Dr. Bhinderwala to take you on this extremely valuable journey on understanding how and when you need a good night's sleep and to rest and be your best.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita. At the outset, I would like to thank Prana for the huge task that they have undertaken and in their effort to help what is really a universal problem. I know that they have started small, and I know that they're going to grow big, and they're going to be so useful to so many people who will recover and go on to live a good life. So I would like to thank Prana for giving me this opportunity and this platform to communicate with Prana warriors. Thank you. So we were going about our life when the COVID-19 happened. So let me just get on to my presentation. Give me a minute, please. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Not yet, doctor. It's not yet shared.
Now, is it come on?
Doctor. Yeah.
Has it come on?
No, it's just come on to your profile picture.
One moment. Yeah, share content, screen. Yeah, sorry. Start broadcast. 1, go. Now, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Is my presentation on?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, to be your best, a good night's rest. While we were going about our routine life, we were hit by pandemic COVID 2019. Now, this pandemic is like a horror movie. Okay. And while most of us were awake and witnessed all the troubles that this pandemic has put on us, for those few rare people who may have slept through the pandemic, we had the lockdown, we had rules of social distancing, we were forced to wear a mask. We had to preoccupy ourselves with excessive cleaning. We had to bathe every single time we came from outside. But the worst of it all was that there were restrictions put on our maidservants. And we had to do a lot of those things that we would rely on others to do for us. Homemakers were put on with extra responsibilities and more work. That led to a lot of exhaustion, lack of rest. Festivities were stopped, no gatherings, no celebrations. Children had to go through schooling even at home. And that imposed curfews on parents and siblings and other family members. There were too many more people for too long a time during the day at home, which led to invasion of personal space, a lot of confrontations, anger feeding more anger and nowhere to go. Everybody started questioning the future, whether it was education, whether it was career, whether it was abroad opportunities. And of course, there were the financial insecurities of job layoffs and pay cuts. Work from home meant pay cuts and it meant lack of privacy, working in noisy environments, irregular work hours. Every day became a Sunday and any day could be a work day. So the routine, the pattern that we had of life got totally disrupted. Inflation for those who had wealth also got affected. It was challenging for them to retain their employees when income was limited. Most people, I would say everybody got impacted by the lockdown. There was a lack of free will to move around and our recreation was stopped. So much so that we could not even grieve for those during the pandemic. And that has been a reason for a lot of guilt. Of course, there have been health concerns. People were worried that I should not contract COVID. And those who had more than one illnesses, people like me who have blood pressure and ischemic heart disease, they have more worry. The fear of having to being hospitalized and having to stay separately was very, very major. And of course, the fear of death. More than all this, there was the stigma associated with COVID. People started avoiding each other and there was distrust and suspiciousness that built up. All this started affecting our routines. People's sleep went for a toss. If all this was less, there were OTT platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, just to name a few, which encouraged people to keep up in the nights and lose out on their sleep furthermore. So if we were to look at sleep hygiene, it's simply a way of improving our sleep before or without having to resort to taking medication to go to sleep. So what are those few things that we can do on a daily basis that can help us get better quality of sleep? So I will briefly be covering what if there is a delay in the onset of sleep, what to do around the bed and bedtime to ensure. These are the 6 topics under which I will be covering the topic. How our diet plays a role, what we should do during the relaxing bedtime rituals, and why the fuss over sleep at all. Now, if you have been in bed and you are not getting sleep for a duration of more than 20 minutes, then these are things you need to keep in mind. When you keep lying in bed, waiting for sleep to come, it's a task, it's an activity. You can't be doing an activity and be sleeping at the same time. Why do people keep awake waiting for sleep to come? Because of the worries and emotional difficulties. People have gotten preoccupied by this other horror movie that they play in their minds. The only thing missing is popcorn. Otherwise, it's the worry that keeps people awake is like a dark horror movie in which they are the hero of the movie and they know eventually they will get killed. So the worry of all the things comes back to you when you're about to fall asleep. And emotional difficulties and these worries is what keeps most people awake. So let's look at what we can do to tackle it.
No. The name is Dr. Hozefa A Bhinderwala.
Started already?
That's Bhinderwala. The bed gets associated with sleeplessness when you keep lying in bed waiting for sleep to come. And instead of bed being associated with sleep, what you need to do is you need to get out of bed and do something disinteresting, boring. For me, it helps having a copy of the Economic Times. I understand nothing of it when I look at it or try to read it. Or read up any contents of instructions for your phone. You already know how to use it. When you go through it, it just bores you. When you start feeling bored and you start getting tired from that and you start feeling sleepy, that's the time you return to your bed for sleep. Also, when you're trying to fall asleep, do not catastrophize. Do not imagine the worst possible scenarios. What happens is the person waiting for sleep and not getting sleep starts imagining the worst outcome. If I don't sleep well tonight, tomorrow will be bad and I may not be able to function at all. So here's where you need to catch yourself and say, why am I thinking like this? I will replace the negative thought with a positive thought, and God willing, I will sleep well so I can do a good job tomorrow. If you had a fight or an argument, you need to sort that out. Do not let the argument linger in your mind. It is the best way of keeping awake the whole night. So talk to whoever you had a fight with, communicate with them, let them know, apologize if you have to. There is no power in anything else as much as there is in an apology. Once you offered the apology and you sorted things out, it becomes much easier to get back to sleep. So settle conflicts before going to bed. It initiates sleep. If still there are a lot of things going on in your mind and your mind won't shut down, not allow you to sleep, then it makes sense to write down your problems on a piece of paper and to put that piece of paper on your, make a list of to-do things for tomorrow and put that on your bathroom wall, so bathroom mirror. So the next day when you get up in the morning, you know these are the issues you need to address. The whole objective of doing this activity is to allow all those problems to come out of your head, through your hand, onto your pen and paper. Once you see a problem as a physical issue, you are better prepared to solve it, to sort it. If it remains in your mind, then like how the ox regurgitates the food eaten a short while ago, even while it's pulling the cart and there's nothing to eat, we tend to ruminate over our thoughts. We tend to keep letting the same thoughts repeat in our minds. So posting it by your bathroom mirror, knowing that tomorrow I will take a look at it. What are the things we need to do around the bed and bedtime? We spend on a lot of things, but so often we just let our sleeping place be as it is and we don't bother much about it. So invest in your sleep. Yes, open your wallets to ensure that you have a good mattress. You will be spending 1/3 of your life in it if you're going to sleep 8 hours a day. Choose a firm surface mattress that suits you. The right firmness of the mattress will ensure that your spinal alignment is straight. You get good body support and there is optimal distribution of pressure. If the mattress is too firm, it distorts the back and causes pain in the shoulder and the pelvic areas and makes sleep difficult to come. If it's too soft, there is not enough back support, and that again can be the reason for back pain. So we may bother about a lot of things, the kind of television we have, the kind of headphones we use, but we don't think too much about the mattress because it's always been there. So this is something I urge people to look into. The bed has to be reserved only for sleep and sex. The bed should not be used for anything other than these two activities. We have some people tend to develop a faulty habit of eating or drinking in bed. Now, that's what you have your dining table for, or that's what a family gathers around to eat. They don't eat on the bed. No watching TV in bed, because then again the bed gets associated with something you do while you're awake. No reading in bed. My niece questioned me a short while ago that, uncle, but we read every day in bed. And I said, no wonder you have a sleep-wake cycle issue, because you're reading, you're doing those things in bed that you should not be doing in bed. 30 minutes before bedtime, it makes complete sense to switch off all gadgets that emit any form of light. So there is a device called the Kindle. The beauty about the Kindle is it does not emit light from itself. It requires light coming from behind. So if you have to read or if you have to do some work, try and wind all of that up 30 minutes before bedtime. Any gadget, any phone, any tablet, any laptop, any computer that emits light will affect your RAS, reticular activating system. That is the part of the brain that ensures we keep awake. If it were up to the RAS in the brain, we would not sleep our entire lifetime. So by the time it's 9, 9:30, 10, our brain and the areas around this RAS deceive the RAS and allow us to go to sleep. But when we expose ourselves to these gadgets, we are made awake. Avoid having timepieces around the bed, because when you look at the time and you frequently check your clock, you start calculating in your mind, oh, it's so and so time. Oh, that means I have so many hours to sleep. And that calculation is again an activity that can wake you up. It can reinforce negative thoughts. Oh no, look how late it is. I will never get to sleep. Or it's so early. I've only slept for 5 hours. This is terrible. How will I feel tomorrow? It's important to have a restful environment, a dark bedroom, not have too many lights on, and the right temperature. 22 to 25 degrees, 23 to 25 degrees centigrade is a good temperature to have. Too hot will again make you sweat and make you get up. Too cold will again give you the shivers and make it uncomfortable for you to sleep. Just before bedtime, avoid doing any vigorous physical exercise or strenuous activity. Try to maintain a regular time for sleeping and a regular time for waking up. We as humans love patterns and rhythms. When we don't have a pattern or a rhythm, our sleep-wake cycle goes for a toss, and then it becomes difficult to fall asleep when you want to. It becomes difficult to get up when you have to. Now, what are the dietary things that affect our sleep? And before I get into that, the brain and the digestive tract have been anatomically placed very far apart. The brain is high up in the head and the digestive tract is in the abdomen. But for both these organs, the fundamental unit is the nerves. And the chemicals that transmit information from one nerve to the other nerve, the neurotransmitters that are found in the brain, are exactly similar to the neurotransmitters found in the digestive tract. So anything that affects your brain affects your digestion, and anything that affects your digestion affects your brain, your emotion, your thinking. So here are some foodstuffs that can help you get a good night's sleep. A lukewarm glass of sweetened milk, lettuce, bananas. I must warn you here that all those things that help you gain weight also help you get good sleep. You have to counter that with a fair dose of physical activity during the daytime. white rice, potatoes, honey. All these are things that can help you get good night's sleep. So if you have small quantities of this before bedtime or with your dinner, in your dinner, this will facilitate sleep. Now here are a few things that are stimulants that can actually keep you awake if you have them 4 to 5 hours before bedtime. So I would have people avoiding a cup of tea after 5 p.m. or coffee. They contain caffeine that keeps you awake. Chocolates also have stimulants. Carbonated drinks are a big no because they contain caffeine in high quantities. After 5 p.m. I mean. Avoid spicy dinners. Spicy dinners have this tendency to cause burning sensation and give you sleepless nights. Also avoid going to bed with full stomach, with too much to eat. When you eat too much at just, before your bedtime, your digestive tract takes a long time to digest all that. Your stomach gets distended and your gastric emptying time, the time it takes to empty your stomach, gets delayed. This also wakes people up in the middle of the night. And so many of us medical professionals are subjected to what is called GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. These people are woken up from their sleep with almost having to vomit. So this happens when you have too much of food to eat before going to bed. So restrict your eating. What are the things you need to do during the day that you need to be careful about so that you can ensure a good night's rest? Ensure that if you have to take a nap, you take a nap for less than 25 minutes. When you take a nap longer than that, your sleep cycle sets in. And then if you get up beyond that 1.5 hours or 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 1 hour, then you feel dissatisfied. So less than 25 minutes is a good enough time for you to wake up from, and try and get that nap as much as possible before 3 p.m. Too close to bedtime will again keep you awake and alert and delay your onset of sleep. Regular gentle exercise and brisk walking is what I strongly recommend for a good night's sleep. When you walk for at least 30 to 40 minutes every day in one stretch, it not only helps your bones, your muscles, your blood pressure remains under control, your cardiac activity is balanced. It also helps people with thyroid problems and diabetes. It's the best thing you can do for your joints and for your sleep as well. It also, and I should not be saying this in a public forum, is bad for my practice. Walking is a very good anxiolytic as well as a fantastic antidepressant. But don't tell this to too many people. Also, increased light exposure during the day. This is something that you must do. You must ensure that you get at least half an hour to 40 minutes of bright light during the day, bright natural light. We are all exposed to office lights and in the lights within rooms, but getting sunlight, getting natural sunlight is very beneficial. Avoid bright lights just before going to bed. That again can stimulate your retina and can cause sleeplessness. Now, people follow these bedtime rituals. We all have some things we do just before bedtime. So these are a few suggestions that can enhance your onset of sleep. Taking a warm bath 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Now, research, this is not my own finding. Research shows that your temperature tends to increase when you take a bath, a hot water bath preferably, or even a hot shower for that matter. When you do that, your body temperature goes up. Now, after your bath, 1 hour after your bath, your temperature starts falling down, and by 90 minutes, your temperature dips further. So this cooling of the body temperature is what enhances onset of sleep and makes it easier for people to sleep. Listening to soft, easy music is good for some people. Saying a prayer just before sleeping. I cannot overemphasize the need of this. We as Indians are culturally God-fearing people. And thanking the Almighty having this cushion of this support. When you say a prayer, you know that you are asking in your prayer for something positive. A person who is humble, who bows down in prayer and makes a ritual of saying a bedtime prayer, sleeps far better than a person who just keeps worshipping the devil. I mean, worrying all the time. Also, everybody knows avoiding use of nicotine products. So somewhere I read on the internet that avoiding nicotine products after 3 p.m. is a good idea. I think avoiding nicotine products from birth to death is the best idea. They don't do you any good. The only people who benefit from this are the tobacco companies. And there is hardly any organization that works as hard as taking your life than do these tobacco companies. So please avoid use of any nicotine products. Avoid alcohol as it causes nighttime awakening. Now, in my practice, I see a lot of people coming to me saying, no, I need that little drink just to fall asleep. They're cheating themselves. What alcohol does is, once it goes in the system, there is a midnight awakening that alcohol can cause. I would have people keep away from alcohol if you value your night's sleep. These are a few tips that I have to offer.
Madam, come.
Sleep well. It's free. You won't be taxed for it. No GST, no other surcharges. It's for you to enjoy your life. Make sure you take good care of your health. Connect with people. We are a species that are social. Interacting with people, making sure you make the most of your day so that you can get the best of your life. I would say good night, everybody.
A big thank you, Dr. Bhinderwala, for opening our eyes to the power and making simple changes that could refresh and keep us in good health and spirits. I'm sure all of you will take home all the sleep hygiene tips to add more positivity and optimism in your lives. Thank you everyone for being part of this webinar today. And we do hope to have you back with us for our next one next Friday.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita. We will now be taking questions which Dr. Sunita will field to Dr. Bhinderwala. You can either post them in the chat box or you can unmute your mic and ask the question, whichever way you prefer. Thank you. I have a question for you, Dr. Hozefa.
Okay, please.
I just wanted to know, is there a minimum number of hours that you can quantify as being refreshing sleep? Or, you know, we say as you grow older, you need fewer hours of sleep. Is that really true? Or do we need our entire parasympathetic systems to kind of realign to give us that refreshing sleep in a minimum quantum?
So what happens is from childhood, from infancy, we need, small infants need a lot of sleep. They sleep to 16 to 20 hours. But as we grow older, by the time we are into our preschool and school days, 8 hours of sleep is a bare minimum required. And I would say that till you are into your 70s, whatever the middle age, just to inform everybody, the paradigm of middle age has shifted since I became 50. Middle age extends up to 70. Till up to 70 years, people should sleep at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now, there are a lot of people who say things like, oh, I can manage with 4 hours of sleep and that's good enough for me and I'm always high on energy even if I sleep less. You may be able to function. Cellular level, your body is deprived. Your body suffers. So you need to ensure that those hours of sleep simply because BMC needs to function. In Bombay, we have what is called the Bombay Municipal Corporation, Mumbai Municipal Corporation. They repair the roads, they fix the street lights when the whole city is asleep. And very similarly, we have what is called the Body Municipal Corporation. At the cellular level, repairs happen when we are sleeping. Also for students, I would like to mention that when you are sleeping, the time your brain organizes all the information that you've accumulated over the day. So trying to cut down on your sleep so that you study for 2 more hours is not a good idea. It's a very bad idea. Ensure you get, you will do well.
Hi, Sunita and Hozefa, Sujata here.
Yes, sir.
I'm your classmate, Hozefa. Sujata from, yeah?
Yes, Sujata.
Oh,
Nice to hear you.
Yeah, hi. I just want to know, when you're talking about 8 hours sleep, do we talk about 8 continuous hours of sleep in a day in 24 hours? Or is it like you can take it maybe 6 and 2 in the afternoon? No?
No, it should be the ideal thing is for your sleep cycles.
Yeah, I
Your
know.
cycle and your non-REM sleep cycles to alternate in one long continuous stretch. To start with, your non-REM is big, your REM is small. As the night progresses, your REM increases in duration.
Yes.
When people break their sleep into parts and they try to take 2-3 hours of sleep during the day, they don't do justice to their REM and non-REM sleep cycles. So I would not recommend breaking it. For people who have sleep issues, they should avoid daytime naps completely.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Hozefa. It was a pleasure, very excellent presentation, very informative. Thank you, Sunita and Hozefa, for this. It was nice seeing you both.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining in. Thank you. Hozefa, there are some questions here for you.
Yes.
One of it is, why is it that we feel more sleepy in the early morning hours? The early morning sleep is more refreshing than sleeping early.
I think to a large extent,
it's both a question and a statement.
JJ, it's the time you fall asleep in the night. If you've not slept early enough, then your morning sleep is going to be very precious to you, because then you will want to, stretch it because you've not gotten good enough sleep. We have so many people who keep us awake. There are these people who have come and stayed at our houses, the Netflixes and the OTT platforms and what have you, WhatsApp and what you have, your digital devices. They all serve their duty of keeping you awake very loyally. So that's what is the problem. When people sleep late, then they want their morning sleep, and beyond they don't feel refreshed when they get up. So I think it's a matter of ensuring that discipline of going to bed a little early.
Some more questions for you, Dr. Hozefa. What about people who are working on their laptops till late into the night? This also deprives them of sleep, but that is work related. So what would you suggest for them?
So, ideally, like how we have our phones synced to Google, we as a species, humans, are synced to the sun and the moon. And what we call the biological rhythm, the biological clock inside of us would be best operational if we slept at, let's say, around 9:30, 10-ish and got up at about 5:30, 6-ish. For people who have to do night shifts, then they have to ensure that they gradually get into that system of sleeping enough hours during the day. To be honest, when this whole culture came into our country, when people started these BPOs and youngsters who were just out of college, call centers, sorry, thank you. These people were keeping awake in the nights and they were making big money, but 10 years later, because of their sleep deprivation, they have landed up with multiple physical ailments, backaches, and you have your blood pressure and your diabetes, because their whole sleep cycles have got disrupted and they didn't do enough during the day to get good enough sleep. So if you cover up at least 7 hours of sleep during the daytime and your body gets enough time to recuperate, that's great. Nurses have it very challenging because they have 3-4 days of day and then 3-4 days of night, and to quickly make that transition, it's extremely challenging. And I wish it for the whole this system of shift duties were made more humane and more easier on people who work in the nights.
One more question for you. Is it important to remember our dreams?
If you get up in a particular phase of sleep your REM cycle, if you get up in while you're in your rapid eye movement part of your sleep, but if you get up in the non-REM part of your sleep, you may not remember your dream at all. Okay, so there is a lot of value attached to dreams, because in dreams you can do or those things that you can't do in your real life, or some bizarre things can happen. So dreams have this ability of sticking into your head, and sometimes you may not remember the next day, but 3 days later you may remember that, oh, you know, my mom featured in my dream and she spoke to me. So because the dreams can allow your, you know, your limitations of consciousness to go for a 6, dreams have, they have a curiosity factor in the human mind. To be honest, medical science does not have perfect explanations of dreams. So if people give you interpretation of dreams, they're taking you for a nice ride.
Okay, there's another question related to dreams. Lately, a lot of us have been having very vivid and sometimes disturbing dreams. How do we combat this to get better sleep?
I think it's important not to worry about the content of the dreams. It's important to focus on those things that you actually have control over. You see, our problems start and increase when we worry of those things over which we have no influence or no control. Dreams you will never be able to control. Don't even worry about it. But what you do during the day, what you do before bedtime, what food you eat, how physically active you are, these are things you can actually have a control over. And when you use those things that you can control well, properly, I think that automatically takes care of, you know, the more relaxed you are, chances are you will have less troubling dreams.
Any recommended playlists to fall asleep? Some have been advertised. Are these just placebo or do they help?
I would think that they serve a good placebo value, because it's a matter of what you believe in. If you believe that something will help you, it's bound to help you, because you've already believed, you've already given into it. So those people who are fond of music and you know, they relish it and they see value in it, they will benefit from it. But for some other people who don't really fancy music too much, for them it will be a noise, a deterrent. So it's a matter of belief. It's a matter of what you believe may help you. So there is a lot of placebo value, I would add.
So do you recommend any orthopedic pillows, mattresses that help us get enough rest? And now Dr. Abbasi says, this is a strange question, to be asked, an orthopedic question to a psychiatrist. So would you recommend anything like a good mattress, orthopedic pillows?
No, I think whatever you are comfortable with, but ensure that you don't have a sprain in your neck when you get up in the morning. Or if you've been having a sprain in your neck, then it may be worthwhile examining your sleeping apparatus, as well as it may be worthwhile seeking an orthopedic consult instead of just, oh, it is something that will pass away. Because a lot of the times these small niggles tend to become chronic problems later on.
What is your opinion about meditation, and does yoga help?
Again,
in sleep?
Meditation, for those who can do it well, is very nice. It benefits people. People have found to have a lot of health benefits of meditation. Their physical parameters, their blood pressure, their you know, even sugars are better controlled for people who can meditate well. But for a lot of people, meditation is a lot of jumbo mumbo. They don't get the concept. Again, I would say that if you can follow the principles and if you can do it right, and you value it, you trust it, you believe in it, it's bound to help you.
What about students? How do they manage sleep with all their assignments, online classes? What is your advice mainly for students?
So, you know, students tend to cheat themselves, and I've done that too, into believing that it's the amount of hours of work I put in. I gathered very late in life that it's not the amount of hours, it's when you are studying, how focused you are in what you're doing. So I would not want to say this in a public forum. I have been a student who's just about barely managed to make the grade, just get across.
That's not the truth. That's not the truth.
No, let me be honest. So I got through school like that. I got through college, medical college. Fortunately, my family could put me in a good medical college, and that happened. I was, after passing medical college, and when I did my psychology, when I did my psychiatry, is when I really understood that the examiners are not bothered about how many hours of work I put in. They are bothered about knowing whether if I can put the answer to the question that they've asked. And it's really a matter of understanding what the examiner expects of you. So a lot of the times the students keep hurting themselves, keep putting themselves under undue pressure that, no, I'm in the 10th standard, oh, I'm in the 12th standard, I need to put in so many hours of work. You really don't have to, but you need to know what is expected of you and you need to be able to deliver that well. I think that's where we need to change.
What advice would you give students who are enrolled in colleges abroad and are currently at home working at different time zones? How do you, and of course there's a disruption in their sleep cycle. What advice would you give them?
So now that they know that they will have their timings of their work or their classes at the particular time, they should ensure that beyond that time they make arrangements for good sleep. We can't have everything we want our way, so sometimes we are restricted by these limitations. But if we ensure that we get a good enough rest and hydrate yourself well, for a lot of these people who have these odd hours, they don't pay enough attention to their hydration. They don't drink enough water. It's surprising how these two things correlate, but making sure you get enough sleep, making sure you eat well, and you drink a lot of water. These are things that people need to do, because you know your timings are different. So you need to ensure that in the other time you get enough rest, enough sleep.
So you recommended a lot of rich foods rich in sugars like sweetened milk, honey, and some of these.
I'm not recommending that. I'm saying only for people who have sleep problems. I was given a little gyan yesterday. I was told to avoid the dietary whites if I have to lose weight. White rice, white bread, and white sugar. So these are things we should have in moderation if we are looking at our weight as an issue in health. But for those who are having sleep problems, taking small quantities of this before bedtime can ensure that they sleep well. Before bedtime. I'm not saying this should be done throughout the day.
What role would body massage or any muscle relaxation therapy have to help to fall asleep? Would you recommend it?
Strongly. You see, when we are tense, you see the child who learns to ride a cycle or a person learning to drive a car, they hold the handle very sternly, very firmly. Whenever our mind is tense, our muscles tend to become tense. So any exercise, any muscle relaxation therapy or exercise that you can learn, wherein you first tense your muscles and then very gradually let your muscles go, can have a very relaxing effect on your mind and your body. So if you're privileged and have access to somebody who can do a good massage, very nice. If you can learn to relax yourself through exercises, that is even better. So they do definitely help in initiating sleep. Yes.
There's a young lady who's mentioned that she's had a leg injury and wakes up often at middle of the night in pain, and then has trouble getting into a deep sleep again. How would you help her, maintain her sleep hygiene and go back to sleep without the pain factor being an issue? Painkillers, yes, but she says that often wakes her up.
Maybe she needs to also look at the issues of her pain. Her doctor can probably look at it and understanding if it's just a physical thing, or sometimes because you have a problem that lingers or a problem that persists, it can start affecting your mind and it can cause symptoms of anxiety and depression which may go unnoticed. One just accepts it that I have this problem, so it's bound to keep me, I'm going to feel like this, and one tends to sometimes wallow in self-pity. One needs to understand that if there is a problem and if the doctor has given whatever analgesics, etc., and still the problem persists, then there may be more to it. It may be an emotional issue. It may be a psychological issue that's keeping you awake, or once you don't fall asleep. So seeking help, the readiness to seek help should be there if whatever they're doing on a routine is not helping them sleep well. Speaking to a counselor can help.
Okay. Should rigorous workout sessions be avoided before sleep? Can it
Yes.
not be done?
No, it should not be done within at least 2 hours before bedtime. Because
okay, go on.
One is of course the whole body temperature rising so high. You're exercising, your muscles are profusely stretched. The second is the fatigue sometimes, and the tear of tissues can be painful and can make your body sore. That can be a reason why you not feel sleepy. So this young generation, the millennials and the people after that, they are so much into bodybuilding that I see that they are sometimes too preoccupied with their physical form, and it comes at a cost.
Does lack of
4 hours before. Do that, but 3-4 hours.
Does lack of sleep cause anxiety and depression, mental health issues?
Most certainly. So anxiety and depression have among their symptoms insomnia and sleeplessness can again put you at risk for initially anxiety and later on even depression. Yes, it's a vicious cycle, each from the other.
Okay, what would you recommend for people who have sleep problems due to jet lag? Would you recommend them to get, how do they go back into their sleep pattern, and particularly because of jet lag, people who travel business on business and things like that?
Yeah, that now looks like a dream.
Yeah. In this pandemic, yeah.
No, I'm just saying. But I think what people who do a frequent traveling, is a day or so before their travel itself, they start modifying their routine. And for the next 2 or 3 days, they try to keep themselves awake in the destination that they have reached. In the hours of the daytime, they keep themselves awake. They push themselves a little bit more. So in the few travels that I have done internationally, I think it takes 2-3 days. For some people, it becomes a problem that persists beyond, and sometimes it can lead to chronic insomnia. But that happens very, very, very in very few people. I think already looking at your destination and planning ahead in your flight journey, also ensuring that you sleep at your destination sleep time, and you try to keep awake the time where you will face the morning hours. So that can help.
Okay. What if you live in a noisy area with a lot of traffic? How do you create an ideal ambience to go to and have a peaceful sleep?
This question is the question that has exceeded the largest amount of questions I have answered. Just to put it on record. Cotton plugs sometimes can help reduce the sleep, but the external environment sometimes is way beyond your control. People live in small homes in crowded circumstances with other people switching on and off the light and putting on the TV. So these are things that one really cannot do much about, the external environment. But it's a matter of trying to get to sleep early. It becomes very challenging. To be honest, I don't have a perfect answer for that question. I don't.
Okay. And do you feel there's a suitable temperature before you go to sleep?
23 degrees centigrade to 25 degrees centigrade is the ideal temperature that the body is comfortable sleeping in.
Okay. I think you've answered almost every question.
2 more questions. 2 more questions.
Okay. There's one more. When would you recommend a medication for sleep?
Okay. So if after doing all of the sleep hygiene and trying to set other things in life right, if you're still having sleep problems, and along with sleep problems, if you're having appetite problems, or if you're having emotional issues and you are unable to rest in your mind, that's the time you need to reach out to a mental health professional. when you start having biological symptoms like sleep disturbances, appetite disturbances, then there is no point in delaying seeking help. If that starts affecting your day-to-day functioning, your socio-occupational functioning, then that means it's time to seek help.
Excellent. We've got an insight into sleep like never before. Very, very informative. Thank you so much, Dr. Hozefa.
Pleasure.
I think we've run out of, I'm not sure about time, but definitely the questions have stopped coming in.
Thank you, Dr. Hozefa.
Here's a statement from Nadi. She says, now we can sleep well tonight with all the information that we have.
God willing, inshallah, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Hozefa. Thank you, Dr.
Pleasure.
Sunita, and thank you, our wonderful audience, for making this a very special webinar, a very useful webinar, especially during lockdown times and COVID times. We look forward to having Dr. Hozefa again back as another pillar next month.
This time with better audio.
Oh no, not the audio. And yes, we're a little, we apologize for the delay in the start of the webinar. But thank you everybody, and have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Don't
you.
mind starting delayed. It happens in India.
That is my brother.
Oh, yes.
Brother will on a public platform.
And this one. And this one.
Oh, but really, really very grateful. I didn't realize there were so many little things I was doing wrong. But yeah, hope to rectify it. Yeah, the big fat TV in the bedroom can't go, but probably try to watch in the day rather than at night.
Some lectures make you go to sleep. This lecture will help you go to sleep.
Dr. Pasi, thank you so much.
True. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Hozefa. Real pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you. My gratitude to Prana.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita.
Really
Have a
nice.
very good